Are you feeling the pressure from social media, friends, family, colleagues, that you're supposed to have your whole year planned right now, or even for that matter, it feels like your whole life figured out? And are you finding that that pressure leaves you feeling like you're left behind somehow, or even the thought of starting anything new just really off-putting, so you just don't start anything? If that's the case, this video is for you. What we're going to talk about here is how this is a really normal response to that pressure, how we can work with that pressure, and how we can really respect where our body's at. It's our body's capacity, working with that to actually find something that we'd like to work towards and introduce. And by working with the body's capacity, we can start something, but actually stick with it and see results. So where's all that pressure coming from? First of all, we can find ourselves comparing to others. Humans are naturally social beings. We look to others, and I think it's great to be inspired. However, by doing and slipping into comparison, really not taking into account each person's capacity, it's almost impossible to compare where we are at and where another person is. So say if two people are starting the same thing at the same time, their experience can be vastly different depending upon where they're at in terms of their capacity. And what I mean by that is where their nervous system, where their body is at, how much allostatic load or how much stresses it's already carrying can massively impact our will even to begin. And where I think it can really get in the way is, say, for example, you've started something. I'll just do a fitness one, for example. Say you see somebody running marathons and you've been walking every week, and then you compare yourself to that person and then go, well, what's the point? I'm only walking once a week. You've allowed that voice that comes in, to completely undermine your efforts and not to take into account where that person's at on their personal journey and where you're at. So each person's body is vastly different. How much demand we can put on our body and how much change we can adjust to and how much effort we can put in and sustain is going to be different, from even a past you to the present you to another person. So letting go of comparison, or when it comes up, see it for what it is, just that, an observation, not an instruction, not something to follow. Or if that voice comes in of, oh, well, I'm not doing as well as that person, I'll give up. If the quit voice comes in, seeing that as feedback and not instruction. So that's one way of working with the comparison, because it does arise, but it's not something to lead with. And then another place the pressure can come from is just overload of choice. Imagine we're juggling and each ball represents a new thing that you're looking at challenging yourself on or improving upon in the year. And you're starting all these at once. You've got like a ball, you're juggling health, what else could there be? Finance, personal relationships, throw that into the mix, another ball. With so many going on, or we haven't really honed in on one, it becomes quite overwhelming. There's just too much going on at once. People don't learn to juggle with all 5 balls at once. It's one at a time, learning to pass from one side to the other until you get good. You've picked up that skill, then you throw another one in the mix. And it's exactly the same with when we have too much choice, too many balls that we're throwing into the mix at once, it becomes overwhelming and we drop the lot. And just because we drop the lot doesn't mean that it's not for you, but there's a way of adapting to each new thing that you might want to introduce, and that's by looking at one at a time. And so it's taking capacity in to mind then, is thinking about and looking at how much time you need to spend until you really feel confident in one particular area and you've increased the growth or improvement or whatever it is with one first. And when that becomes manageable and the body is adjusted to that, then it's time to introduce something new. So starting small is starting with one. And the other issue can be this time pressure, not only adding on this idea of a whole year, which again in itself can be overwhelming, but thinking about maybe starting something new and it just being for a week, or looking at it as a few weeks. There's, people suggesting doing things, looking at the year as a 12-week year. So it's finding a time period that works for you, that helps you feel less pressured to begin, And then it's looking at the cadence, looking at the frequency that you start the new thing. So for me, my example of this was social media. I knew that it was really good, the idea of posting daily, but my capacity wasn't able to hold that. And it wasn't actually for years. And so I had to build up slowly, doing like 1 social media a week, building up to 2, until I felt like that's manageable. It wasn't making me feel overloaded, stressed or whatever. And then I was able to increase that to, after years, daily. But I didn't start there. I adapted and increased cadence and increased my confidence to be able to prove to myself, oh, I can maintain this and sustain this. So that ball's then juggling before I introduce something new, whatever the new thing is that I'm bringing in. And this is where there's an interesting point to do with when you're maybe starting with a particular schedule where you're going, oh, I'm going to do this every day. And then you start noticing that you've dropped it, that you're not doing it. Now, this doesn't mean you've quit, but it is feedback that maybe the frequency was too much. Then it's coming back and thinking, oh, I'll do whatever this thing is every other day, or I'll do it for a smaller period of time. So it's playing with that time and allowing your body and your nervous system time to adjust. So it's not putting this huge time pressure to achieve by X point. It's dedicating time and finding a rhythm that works for you, allowing for life to happen and for it to feed back and for you to adjust accordingly so that you can maintain this thing that you want to start. So if you are thinking of starting something new, don't start with motivation, start with capacity. And start small, allow that capacity, your own body to feed back what is right for you. Pick one area, allow your body to feed back the rhythm, the cadence that works for you. And if, like I say, it drops off, don't take this as a sign that you've stopped. It's just a pause, come back, but maybe adjust the how and the when and how much time you're spending on it. And we build from there. Anyway, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Any area that you're interested in that maybe you haven't started yet, and let's maybe chat about what one small step would look like for you, something that you could implement and start. And if you find that excuses are really getting in the way and stopping you from starting, like a long list of excuses, I'll leave a link to a video here that's all about working with your excuses and seeing excuses as clues, something to work with and not act upon. It's been absolutely wonderful to have you here again. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.